Good afternoon, everybody. This is quite a long snippet today, rather contrary to the words, but it's important that we go through and explain in some detail the actual examination results and the next steps. My name's Brian Irwin, I'm the principal of the school, and I hope you find these snippets useful. So let's go on, and let's actually just remind you that you can find these snippets under the following link at the bottom here, where it says kscs.org.uk reopening info. And there's been a slight delay, but I'm going to be pushing that to ensure that snippet 2 and 3 are uploaded today. I know that some of you have had the direct link, but it's always nice to go back and watch these in one place. So let's move on and let's look at key dates and informations to take note of. So the first thing is results day are as planned and as published the 13th of August for AS and A-level and level 3 qualifications, BTECs, etc. And then on the 20th of August, the GCSEs level 1, level 2 vocational qualifications, whether you're at year 11 or post 16 particular stage of your career. And of course, if you're resitting English and Maths, that will be the date that you'll receive that as well. So please take note of those dates. So in terms of arrangements, unfortunately, no adults will be allowed and permitted on the site on those particular days. There is actually a need for you to actually social distance if you're waiting for your child. I understand as a parent myself, my daughter is going to be receiving her A-level results this year, and I would like to be with her at that particular time. Maybe she doesn't want to be with me. That's a different matter, but you have to respect this, please. We have offered a postal service. So if you are actually not wanting to come into school for whatever reason, we will post those out the day before, so you will actually see or receive, I should say, your results the following day. If you are actually a child who wants to come into school to collect their results, then there is already been a letter sent out by Mr. Abbott, and the link below shows how we can book at different time slots from 7:30 in the morning to a little bit later in the morning, depending on your habits. This has already been sent out, but I'll share with that link below, as you can see. On the day, we'll be offering support, but those will be also offering a pre-booked service should there need to be some more intensive work done with students following the gaining of your results. Unfortunately, again, adults will be restricted from being present, I'm afraid. So for everybody that's out there, you've probably heard in the news that we didn't have examinations this year, but we were asked to actually undertake a particular process that I'm going to quickly go through and hopefully try and actually illuminate everybody about what we were asked to do. So back in May, we were asked, using this example, and I'll use A-level geography as an example here, to gather all evidence that we have on a particular child. So that might have been classwork, homework, pre-public exams as we call them, other relevant evidence if they've done coursework, that's what we call any non-examined assessment work, NEA, and any other relevant evidence that we felt might be actually put into the equation. And we had to actually then award what we considered to be a grade. Now, this is not the final grade. We equally had to actually rank order the students. So if there were 2 grade A students in A-level geography, which was the higher of the 2, or if there were 3 grade Bs in this example, who was first, second, third, fourth, whatever. And we had to submit those to the exam board. So the exam board received those some weeks ago, and what they are doing is what we call this statistical standardisation. And what that really means is they will take into account our evidence, they will look at some key further evidence, and the key evidence is shown in the box in the left-hand side, which is actually what the previous national results in that particular subject have been, because they don't want to be out of kilter, too high or too low. The prime attainment of the students, that's what the students came in, for example, at the beginning of year 12, based on their GCSEs, and for those who are finishing in year 11, those actually sat their year 6 SATs, as it would have been known. And also the previous results of the college or school, just to show that we're not going to be wildly out and promoting sort of results that actually don't fit the profile of our students. With all that in mind and taking all the national picture, the exam boards will then statistically analyse whether we're in line, out of line, or they feel that the results are too generous or too severe, and they will adjust using that rank order that I've talked about. So those on the 5 and the 4 in this example might get downgraded. However, if we had been too harsh, they may actually decide that those at the top of the grade B move to grade A. So it is a sort of a statistical way of aligning the results so that this year the students' results will match those of previous years and aren't going to be too wildly out or either way. So I've just mentioned about that, so I'll quickly go through this slide. It doesn't, our CAGs or centre assessment grades may not be exactly what we receive, so please be aware of that. The exam board ensures that the grades are consistent, and they believe this is the fairest possible approach under the extreme circumstances that we've had to face this particular year. And I'll let you judge whether or not that is the case. What is important is that we will not disadvantage any child, or any student I should say, either moving forward from year 11 into post 16, and we will be basing our entrance requirements on the centre assessment grades, those that we submitted to the exam board, not exactly what they may well receive. It's important on that. And the same as we go through to the next slide, if we feel it's been fair, we will actually look to support in terms of an appeal. So what does that appeal look like? Well, the whole flow chart I'm going to show in a minute does have a deadline, the 17th. What's really important before I share this is that you cannot appeal as a student just because you think the grade that you receive is unfair. There has to be a firm evidence base behind this. And the diagram below, or to the side here, actually takes you through. And what is really important is that the centre, the school, is the process by which we will make a decision to either challenge the grade if we feel it is not in line what we submitted, and then actually put that appeal in, which may or may not be successful. However, you as students can actually have control of a particular process of sitting the exam. Now, it's not a resit because you haven't sat it, and we'll come on to that in the next slide. Just in case all of this information is going too quickly, I just want to remind you that this will be posted up on our reopening info page very shortly. So, opportunity to sit the exam. If you have not actually previously sat the exam, that sounds strange. Well, maybe you've actually resat it in November for resit or whatever. You may well not be eligible to actually sit it in the autumn term. The deadline for submitting a decision for an examination is as follows. You can see the 4th of September for AS and A levels. That's not a resit, that is actually to say I want to sit the exam. Let me make that very clear. And the English and Maths resit, GCSEs, should be actually on the 18th, no later than that. That's the deadline. And finally, the resits, as I should say, and apologies for that confusion, is the 4th of October. The dates for the exams are as follows: the 5th to the 23rd for AS and A levels, and you need to think about that, particularly if you're going off to university. And for GCSEs, the 2nd of November to the 23rd. That's the scheduled window of examinations. Now, I'm not going to discourage or encourage in any shape and form here, but you need to be aware how far away you have been since you last actually sat any particular examinations, and what preparation you will need to do for that. The school will support in some ways, but it cannot be held responsible for actually the preparation leading up to those particular exams. You must contact Mrs. Leach, the exams officer, as soon as possible if you plan to sit an examination and you feel your grade that's been awarded to you is unfair in your view. But if the centre feels that actually that it's got supporting evidence to say, well, that's in line, then the exam sitting process is the only course of action. If we feel that the grade that you've been awarded is unfair, we will support the appeal process and go through that on your behalf. Now, let's just move on to the examination changes. There is a lot to go through here, so I don't plan to actually go through these subject by subject, but I'm going to actually put this particular PowerPoint up onto our website so you can read just very, very clearly what's going to happen to the changes for the summer of 2021. So if you're year 10 or your current year 12 or new year 12, you will actually need to actually look at that. And I should say, if you're current year 12, that's moving into current year 12 into 13. So you can see quite a lot of changes there. I'm not going to go through them all, but there are some adjustments being made to the non-examined assessments, the NEA, or where practical is actually being asked of in previous years to try and actually support. The one thing I would note is that English language and English literature do have a slightly revised content that will allow students to feel that they don't have to cram in all that content of poems and literature prior to the exam in the summer of 2021. Ditto for geography will be that fieldwork will not be necessary, and history there will be selected units that you have studied, and we will have to actually just make the exam boards aware of that. Modern languages is a slight sort of change in the process for the speaking and listening on there, and as we go forward you can see that other subjects have got slight changes. I'll leave those for there to actually for you to read, but also for your subject teachers to explain in more detail when we return in September. And finally, the changes in AS. Very few changes here, so I've only just listed those that actually are affected. Links to all the resources. I know I've gone through this very, very quickly. A lot of information here can be found visiting our website using the following link. Again, I hope that this will be up by later today, excuse me, so that you can actually digest this at your own leisure. And we're working on an FAQ, so if you do have any questions, please, in the meantime, just use our website for the general sort of contact, and I will pick those up and answer as many as I possibly can. Thank you again for watching, which is snippet number 3, and there will be another snippet number 4 next week. We're going to try and actually focus around other things inside the school that you will need to be aware of, the one-way systems, behaviour and standards, track and trace methods, what happens if I'm unwell, and the start of term processes, including the Kickstart week for Year 11 and some post-16. So thank you again for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.